Hello there guys, and welcome to this video. So, it seems like there's a lot of people still running ESXi 6 because some old servers can only run up to this one due to some CPU issues compatibility wise. So I thought as well, why not to make a video on it. So let's suppose you just got your spanking new, not new, let's say spanking used server to mess around with some virtualization stuff, make some VMs and have some fun. And well, let's just say you installed it on a flash drive, like a thumb drive or maybe a SD card, and now you want to set up storage for it because you gotta store your VM somewhere, and you know your flash drive won't be enough for it. So how do you do that? So this is a fresh new ESXi install. It's ESXi 6, so it's brand new, never touched. It's my first time logging into the client, the vSphere client. And how do we configure that? So you go to configuration and you click on storage. Here is the hardware part where you can see health status, processors, memory, all the things about your server. And then go here to storage and you click on add storage, where you're gonna add all the disks to your system. So let's just say you want to add a 40 gigabyte drive to store all your VMs. So it's a non-SSD drive type, it's SCSI drive. So let's use that one. So we click on next, and it's a virtual disk, of course, because I'm running in a workstation. Of course, I don't have a server for myself yet. Maybe one day, but hey, everything at its time, right? So let's use this one for my VMs. So we can click on it. Let's suppose it's one of the internal disks. So servers usually come with a few drives, usually pretty small, and let's configure them. So let's begin with this very one. Click on next. We have to enter a name for the data store. Let's call it Linux data store, or even better, let's call it web. So this one's gonna be the data store which will run all the web applications for our company, our make-believe company. So we click on next, and then we're gonna set up the capacity. We could maybe use just half of it and another half for something else, but we're gonna use all the storage. So now it's ready to complete, and you can check the settings, make sure format's correct, block size, maximum file size, and everything. You click on finish and it's gonna format, and it usually shows down there the progress, but as it's a small drive, it formats pretty quickly. And here we go, we do have our storage set for our web applications. So now let's add a second storage, which is gonna be a disk/LUN. We're gonna take one of those. So this one is now gone from the list because it became a data store. So now we have only 3 more. Let's use this one, which is gonna be let's just call it DHCP slash firewall, because we could use like some VMs, a VM for DHCP, a VM for firewall, and that would have its very own storage. So yeah, that could be that. Maximum storage space, sure. And finish. Operation failed. What do you mean? Oh yeah, it's because of the slash. So let's add a storage back again. You can't have a slash. So let's call it DHCP and DNS. Okay, so that's gonna be DHCP and DNS, and we click maximum available space and finish, and it's gonna finish. And there you go, we have the drive in there, DHCP and DNS. And let's say we have a mail server, so let's use this one. And actually let's call it mail. So this is gonna be Mayo, but we don't need 40 gigs for Mayo. We just need 20 gigabytes because it's a small size company. So why would we need that much data? So let's just go with half. And then if we go up here and add storage disk, it's gonna show where is it? Oh boy, it's not showing up here. Okay, we can fix that. Let's make a new drive. Let's call it, this one is gonna be our backup storage. Let's just say we're using a single host because it's a small company. We're starting now with virtualization. It's our first server, and we don't have enough servers. We don't have enough bare metal for like everything, like to spread out the things. So it's just one server doing all the virtualization. And it's not like it's gonna underperform, because nowadays, like a small server with like 64 gigabytes of RAM can do a lot of work, and you don't have to buy an entire rack of servers. So just one is enough. Let's pretend it's a 64 gig RAM server with like 4 CPUs in it. So yeah, that's it. So the backup storage is gonna be in there as well. It's gonna be a specific drive. And if the other ones fail, we're gonna have a mirror. Usually the backup drive should be like 3 times the size of that, so it should be bigger than the other drives, but this is just an example, so it doesn't matter much. But usually in a real life environment, you should have a bigger drive for backup. But anyway, that's gonna be our backup data store, which is gonna have a backup of all our VMs. So we can click on finish, and there we go, we have it set up. So here at Mail, we do have browse data store. As you can see, you can upload files to the data store, you can download, you can delete stuff, you can refresh, and you can also go to properties where you can see and increase partition sizes. So extents, let's say we want to make it bigger for some reason, like, oh, company got bigger, we got a lot of data in there, so we got to increase the partition size, and that's what we're gonna do. So here we go. I click on next, and then we're gonna use the maximum space, and now we got 40 gigabytes out of the disk. So we are using the entire size, and now we got 4 data stores for our VMs. And let's say let's make a VM summary. Here's all the storage. You can see it listed: backup, DHCP, DNS, Mail on the web. So let's say we want to make a new VM for the web server. Let's go up there, new virtual machine. And yeah, it's a little slow because my Windows 7 VM has been acting up lately. But anyway, so let's make a custom one. And it's gonna be a Debian for the web server. So we click next, and then we're gonna take this storage, which is gonna be the web virtual version. Let's go with 8 version we run. That's up to you. I mean, if you wanted to run on old ESXi like 4.3 and make it backwards compatible. If you don't care about that, if your environment is fully updated, if you're running all your environments running ESXi 6, you shouldn't worry about that. But like if you have old servers inside your environment, like maybe it's a pre-VTX environment, so you could go with ESXi 3, which supports pre-VTX processors. So that's all up to you, depends on your environment. But let's just say my environment's like brand new, not brand new, but like supports ESXi 6, so it's something that's not like 20 years old, it's not 15 years old, it's like 10 years old plus. So yeah, VMware version 8. So yeah, let's skip that. It's gonna be a Linux host, it's gonna be a Debian 64-bit. Okay, and then we click next. Virtual sockets, we could go with 1 socket and 2 cores. That's enough. Memory size will be fine with half. So that's great. 512 megabytes. Yeah, sure. Next, network. Here's where you take your adapters. I would usually recommend this E1000 because this VMware ESXi is a little buggy at times. So LSI logic, sure, creating a new disk. And here's where a few things come into play, which is fin provision, thick provision, and usually I would recommend fin provision because it takes less space, but that depends on you. I mean, if you have a lot of storage and you want speed, you could use thick provision, which pre-allocates all the space and this, so it's going to be faster. But fin provision is like an empty bag, so it's not going to take any space at all if there's nothing in it, and it's going to expand as you add stuff. So let's just say, oh, I want to have a Windows VM and it requires like 30 gigabytes, but I don't have those 30 gigabytes to spare, but the system needs those 30 gigabytes to let me install the system. So you go with fin provision, because then it's gonna be a 30 gigabyte disk, but you don't necessarily have to have 30 gigabytes free. So you could easily use like just 12 gigabytes of those 30 to install the system. And let's just say you have like 20 gigs free on your main drive, your VM drive, and then you can easily install, and the system's the VM is going to show that the hard drive is 30 gigabyte long, but it's actually not. So it's just a make-believe amount of data, which will depend on how much you can store, and it's going to expand as you add stuff. So it starts as an empty bag and it gets bigger as you add stuff, as you install software, as you install operating systems, and so on and so on. So it starts thin and it gets big. And thick provision is like, it's a box. It's an empty box, but it's a box. It's taking space. So like, even if you don't have an OS installed, if you don't have a lot of stuff going on in there, it's still a box. It's taking room. It's taking room in your storage. So let's just say, for comparison, let's say you have a storage room. You pay for that storage room in real life, and you gotta store some stuff in there, some old computers, some old boxes. And let's just say, oh, I'm gonna just let this box lay in here. It's gonna make sure the space is reserved for me, so make sure no one's gonna take that very space and go over that. So I'm gonna need that later on, so I'm gonna place that box in there and no one's gonna mess with that box. So it's pretty much like that. Box is gonna be there, it's gonna be taking room even though there's nothing in there, but it's there. It's there, the space is reserved, the space is gonna always be there, and it's gonna take that space right away. So if I have 1 terabyte and I make a thick provision 500 gigabyte disk, it's gonna take 500 gigabyte, and it's gonna be 500 gigabyte, but there is not there. It's gonna be empty. It's gonna be an empty block of 500 gigabyte. So that's up to you. I usually go with fin provisioning, because it's a little slower, but it doesn't matter in the end. If you have a fast drive, it's not gonna be a massive difference at all. So yeah, let's go with 16 gigabyte fin provision. Store with the virtual, no, because that's a problem. It's gonna store in the flash drive, and my flash drive is just 2 gigabyte big. So yeah, it's gonna let me store because it's fin provision, but as soon as I try to install the system, it's gonna complain because Debian's bigger than 2 gigabytes. So let's specify data store, and that one's gonna be the web one, which is gonna be the web server, right? So advanced options, that's okay, and then we can change a few settings later on, which is okay. CPU, video card is okay. Drive, that's where we get the ISO file in there. So let's just say you gotta go to the host first. This is the host ESXi. It's a VM, of course. So we go here, settings, and we get the disk image in there, which I gotta find it first. I don't have a single clue where I Okay, where's my Debian ISO? Oh, there you are. So I found it. And now we can just go here and host device, which is the ESXi, not your VM where you're, or the computer where you're controlling the environment, the vSphere client. So you make sure it's in there. You could use your device as well, the client. But anyway, host device it is. We make sure to connect the power on so that it boots with the image. So here's the VM we made. There's summary. There's a lot of things going on there. Resource allocation. Okay, that's great. So back to the VM itself. We open the console. It's gonna be a little slow, but we can click on play. It's gonna turn the VM on, and hopefully it's not gonna lock up because it's ESXi 6, and I'm not sure if it's compatible with Debian 9, but it might be, hopefully, you know. And seems like it's not. It froze. Great. Oh, actually no, it went on. That's great, because ESXi 3.5 used to lock up this very part, but it seems like we can go to. That's pretty cool. So yeah, let's go on with the install. United States, American English, sure. It's gonna detect the mount CD-ROM. It's pretty fast, as you can see. Snappy install. It's loading all the components. It's gonna detect hardware, network stuff. Just making sure it connects. I'm gonna get a grape real quick. Okay, network auto config. It's completed. That's great. So it's DHCP hostname. Hostname is gonna be test. That's cool. Oh, actually identifies your system to the network. Dev VM. That's a cool name for it. So domain name is I'm gonna use a domain name registered just for whatever reason. Okay, so we type in the password, we press enter, full name, great. And then we're gonna be setting a password. And then time zone, Eastern. It's not quite my time zone, but doesn't matter, does it? It's a pretty fast partitioning process, as you can see. ESXi is pretty snappy. I find it snappier than VMware Workstation, which does make sense as it runs on top of the hardware, not on top of a system, of an operating system. It is the operating system itself, so it's usually way faster. Some reading ASMR for you guys, because why not, right? Why not? Just making sure to install the base system. And then we're gonna be able to have some fun with our very first VM. Fun times, right? No, I'm not gonna scan that. United States pack manager. Ooh, United States. Oh, that's okay. I wasn't gonna take United States, but it's not gonna be brown. It's closed, so it's not gonna be slow at all. Not at all. So as you can see, it's usually very fast. Or you're gonna have a web server on the go. Simple as that. No biggie. No biggie at all. Just gonna configure. No, I don't want to participate. Because I'm definitely not going to keep this VM anyway, so there's no point. So here's where you are going to make sure to configure all the settings you need. I need a web server. I don't need a print server, but like if it's a company, chances are you're going to need that. I'm not going to need that, so I'm not going to take that. SSH server, sure. Standard system, no. I don't need that. I just need web server. Because that's what's gonna, you know, make my website work. So that's the whole point. That's how I want. It's a functional web server. And that's probably like Apache or something. Which is pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah, as you can see, ESXi 6 is still pretty usable now, even though it's 2 years old. Yes. Oh. So, a 2-year-old hypervisor can still kick some ass. I wonder how Hyper-V does in 2018. Hyper-V from Windows Server 2008, not Hyper-V from Windows Server 2019 or 2012, 2016, of course. But I wonder how it stacks up. If it can run those or not. So as you can see, it's a pretty quick install, and it's most likely not gonna fail, and it did not. So let's see, do we have connection? Yeah, we do have internet straight off the box, which is good. It's a little slow, as you can see, but yeah, it works. So let's see for web servers functional. IP address show. So our IP address 192.168.15.92. So that's cool. 192.168.15.92. And here you go. So here's your web server fully functional, which is pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. So yeah, that's it for the video. Today you learned how to set up the drives and how to make your first VM and install Debian on it. I hope it helped you guys. And yeah, feel free to leave feedback down in the comment section if you wish, or leave a like and subscribe. That's all up to you. I mean, if that helped you, it would be very nice if you could, leave that like, smash the like button. But if it didn't help you and if you find that obnoxious, just leave a dislike. It's up to you anyway. So goodbye and take care.